Welcome to Comparing Fractions. How many of you have ever had a cookie and you cut it into parts and you said, I want the bigger piece, or mine's bigger than yours, or can I please have a bigger piece than my sibling has? You are naturally comparing fractions. You're comparing the piece of the pie that you want that is bigger than your siblings. And so we are going to practice that today in your handy dandy math journal. So please take that out. Make sure you have it open. The page that you will turn to is just after your factory drawing that we did quite a while ago. You will turn to the next page. It is nice and blank. You will pick up your pencil and we are going to write the words comparing fractions at the top of our page. Notice I'm going to start very close to this margin line here, and I'm going to, on the top baseline, I'm going to write comparing. Yours should look like mine. Capital F for fractions. Make sure it's spelled correctly. Comparing fractions. All right. Once yours look like that, we are going to give you an entire candy bar to draw. I want you to go to the skip a line and draw a line on top of that red baseline right there. And I want you to go all the way over till you get to about the G of comparing, which is about halfway across your page. And I want you to draw a very clean, precise bar. That is the whole candy bar. In the center of that whole candy bar, I want you to write the words one whole. Yesterday, we talked about that fractions are another way of talking about parts and whole. The fractional pieces are the part of the whole thing. So once you have the words one whole written within your candy bar here, you're going to put a 1 beside it. That stands for one whole candy bar. Well, here come some friends to your situation, and you're going to take this same size candy bar, so I want you to draw another same size candy bar. Notice I'm saying that they are the same size. The reason that's important is you cannot compare fractions unless you're talking about the same size whole of the candy bar. I want you to take your pencil and I want you to figure out about where is exactly half and draw a line up and down to show that you have split that candy bar in half. And I want you to put a 1 part out of 2 is this part. And I want you to just lightly shade with your pencil over that. So we see that this shaded part is 1/2 if you were to divide it between 2 people. 1 part is shaded, draw your line, and set your 2 on the baseline. This is how many parts you have cut it into, and you're gonna eat 1/2. We talked about that yesterday. Well, now we're gonna have the same size candy bar, so go down, skip a baseline. Yours should look exactly like mine. We're gonna draw the same size candy bar again. You get to decide which kind of candy bar it is. Is it a chocolate candy bar? Is it a candy bar with nuts? Is it a candy bar with caramel? And now you're going to, on this side of where your half mark was, you're gonna draw a line. And you're gonna draw another line over here so that you have 3 equal parts. It might take you a few tries to get your 2 lines so that you have 3 equal parts. 1, 2, 3. So over here, how many parts do I have in my whole? I have 3. And I would like to shade one of those parts. 1 out of the 3, or 1/3. I'm going to lightly shade. It's important that when I get this picture from you at the end of the day, I can see the 1/3 and the 1/2 darker than your shading. So your shading needs to be really soft. This, we've shaded 1 part out of 3, so this one is 1/3. 1/3, 1 out of 3. Oh, but now we're going to take another candy bar of the same size. Please draw your mark on the red margin line. Make sure that it goes exactly out to the same distance. Same size candy bar. First, draw a line dead in the center. Now you have two parts. I want you to go into this first section. I want you to draw dead in the center. This is how you're going to divide it into 4 different parts. Now take this half and put a mark dead in the center there. How many parts do we have in our whole? We cut it into 4 parts, and we're only going to shade one of those 4 parts. 1 out of 4. Please put that darkly in your section there, and then you can lightly shade over the 1 out of 4. Now we're going to do some looking with our eyeballs. This is the whole thing, so I want you to take this lightly, spend a very short moment neatly and cleanly shading this whole piece. Put your finger on the bar that is the biggest. Okay, you should have put your finger here, one hole, okay? Which is the bar that shows me the smallest piece if I cut it into parts? This shows me the smallest piece. See, it's smaller. 1/4 is smaller than 1/3 because I'm only going to get to eat this much of the candy bar, and the person that got 1/3 gets to eat this much of the candy bar. Is 1/2 greater than 1/3? You should say yes, because I can eat more candy bar if I get to eat half of the candy bar than if I get to only eat 1/3 of the candy bar. So now we're going to put these into comparing math talk. You've done this before. We're going to start with half. I want you to, on this next baseline, skip a baseline, and I want you to make your fractions fit into one space here. So you're going to put a small 1 and a line, and that's going to sit on the baseline. See how small I did that? You're going to fit it on that baseline, and we're going to say half. Is it greater or less than 1/3? Greater. So half, you're going to write the words, is greater, spell it correctly please, look at mine, than, half is greater than 1/3. Now you have a symbol for that. It looks like an alligator mouth. Let's write our symbol for it over here. We could say, if we didn't want to write all these words, half is greater than. Remember, our big open mouth goes to the bigger number because our alligator likes to chomp big, fat, juicy things. Half of the candy bar is greater than 1/3 of the candy bar. We can prove that up here. Half, that's a bigger piece than this piece, if our candy bar is all the same size. Now let's take a look at 1/3. I want you to skip a baseline, just like mine. When you send me your picture, yours should look just like mine. 1/3, how are we going to compare it to 1/4? Is 1/3 greater than or less than 1/4? You can tell by your picture. Where do you get to eat more candy bar? All right, write that down. 1/3 is greater than, make sure you spell it correctly, greater than 1/4. Now write that in math symbols. 1/3, instead of writing is greater than, we can do our alligator chomper, our greater than, less than sign. 1/3, if the bigger number gets the bigger side of the marking, then it should look like that, is greater than 1/4. Okay, do we get to prove that on here? 1/2 is greater than 1/3. That means 1/3 is smaller, yes. 1/3 is greater than 1/4. That means this one's smaller. That's true. So, I want you to put a big S-O. So, comma. Skip another baseline. let's compare 1/2 to 1/4. If this one's bigger than this one, and this one's bigger than this one, then what can we say about 1/2 and 1/4? Which one's bigger? Which one is the greater fraction? We can say 1/2, yes, is greater than, be sure and write these words in your book, then 1/2 is greater than 1/4. 1/2 is greater than 1/4. How would we write that with just our symbols? You write that. Right over here, it would be 1/2 greater than 1/4. Excellent. Make sure your page looks like mine, and now we're going to do something with some pieces of pie. We got our candy bar all split up. Turn the page, please. Once yours looks like mine, if you need to pause it to catch up, do that. Turn the page. On the same right side of the page, we are going to draw some circles. I want you to make yours, you're going to go down 1, 2, 3, and make a little mark. Make a mark at the top and at the bottom. Do you see that? 1, 2, 3. And then take your top dot to dot and circle it around and set it on the baseline. That's how you're going to draw your first circle. Then you're going to do the same thing right next to it. Make a dot, go down 3, make another dot, and make yourself a nice circle. And then do it again. So you should have 3 in a row. Tic-tac-toe, 3 in a row. On your first circle, I want you to cut this circle in half vertically. That means you're going to go up and down in half. That means take it and just slice it right there. And underneath it, I want you to put 1/2. And I want you to shade 1/2. Go. Okay, it should look like you're shading 1/2. Okay. On this second circle, I want you to cut it into 4 parts. I want you to take one line and I want you to cut right in between these 2 blue lines. You're going to go straight across in between the 2 blue lines, just like mine is. Do it there. And then make another line from top to bottom, right in the center of the circle. How many parts do you have now? Yes, you have cut your pie into 4 parts. I want you to shade this many of the parts. Go. 1/4. Okay, I'm going to choose this one over here. You can choose whichever one of the 4 you like. Are you correct if you shaded this one? Yes. Are you correct if you shaded this one? Yes. You can pick any one of those, but only one, to make 1 out of 4 parts is shaded. This one, I'm going to show you how to make a circle and cut it into thirds. I want you to take your line and I want you to come about halfway down, straight down, halfway. And then you're going to kick it out to 2 diagonal lines. You're going to go diagonal to the left and diagonal to the right. Ta-da! We just cut that circle into thirds. We cut it into 3 pieces. I want you to shade that many of them. 1/3. Do that now. I'm going to shade my 1/3. You can pick any one of those 3 parts because they are equal parts. You can pick whichever one to shade. We have shaded 1/3. Look back 1 circle. You shaded 1/4, 1 out of 4 pieces, and 1/2. Now, if we were going to rate them from greatest part to least, if we have the same size circle, I want you to write on the skip 2 baselines and write greatest to least. Greatest to least. And put 2 little dots there. Which one is the greatest? Which one has more of the circle shaded than any other? This one does. It says half of the pie gets circled. So the greatest one is 1/2. Okay, put a comma there. Which one has the next largest amount shaded? Is it the 1/4 or the 1/3? It is the 1/3, has more area of it shaded. It's a bigger piece of the pie. Put a comma. And so then what is our smallest amount here? It's the only one left, so please write that down, 1/4. So if we were going to rate these or measure these from greatest to least, this would be our greatest, then this one, then this one. 1/2, 1/3, 1/4. You can't look at the bottom numbers and always tell. You have to see what it represents because 2 is smaller than 4. But we're talking about greatest to least. So we can't just look at the numbers by themselves. We have to remember what 1/2 represents. It's 1 out of 2 pieces when you only cut the big thing into 2 pieces. Let's do some triangles so that you're really ready for your independent work over the next couple of days. Skip 2 baselines, 1, 2. You're going to do this over 2, 1, 2, 3 lines. They're going to start at the top and we're going to go past 1 baseline and hit the next one. Go back up to the top, go past 1 baseline and hit the next one. And cross over. You have now made a very lovely triangle. I want you to draw a straight line from the very top of your triangle just past that blue line on your paper, just a little bit past it. We're going to do that same diagonal thing. We're going to kick out to the side and diagonal to the right. And now we have split our triangle into 3 triangle parts. So now we have 3 parts we cut it into, and I want you to shade 1/3 of them. Please do that now. Shade 1/3 of your triangle. Go. Doesn't matter which third it is. I'm going to choose this one. I've shaded 1/3. They are equal parts as best as I can draw them. I want you to go to the next over. We're going to do another triangle. I want you to go from the top baseline, skip a baseline, land on the next one, and connect them for a nice clean triangle. I want you to cut that triangle in half vertically. That means from top to bottom. Straight line down. We have cut that now into 2 pieces, and I want you to shade 1/2. Please do that now. I'm going to shade mine over here. You could certainly choose the other side. That's okay. You have now shaded 1 out of 2 pieces, so 1/2 of your triangle. We're going to draw a third and final triangle, starting at the top baseline, skip a baseline, land on the next one. Do it on both sides, get your beautiful triangle there, make it nice and clean. Now you're going to take your pencil and I want you to go on the blue line that's on your paper. I want you to draw a line across on top of that blue line, and then I'm going to have you make a triangle, an upside down triangle from that triangle. Ooh, fancy, fancy. How many pieces did we cut that into? 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces. So you have now divided that into 4 parts, and I want you to put a 1 on top of that because you are about to shade with your pencil 1/4 of that triangle. 1/4 of the whole. I'm going to make mine be right here. You can pick any one of those little triangles, any one of those fractional units that make up our whole triangle. But now we're going to do something different. These we rated from greatest to least. We're going to go in reverse order down here. I want you to skip 2 baselines, 1, 2, and I want you to write least. Spell it correctly, please. To greatest. Nice and neat. This is a Journal you are going to reference for the rest of this week when you get confused about which parts are bigger. All right, what is our smallest amount of our whole? Assuming our triangles are all the same size, which shaded part is the smallest, the least? Is it the 1/3, the 1/2, or the 1/4? Write it down, please. And you should see that 1/4 is the smallest. If we cut it into fourths, that's your smallest fractional part. Okay, let's compare it to the next one. Which is the next bigger? We go for least to greatest. So 1/4, get a little bigger. What is bigger than 1/4? One of these two. Which one's the next biggest? Should be 1/3. And then our largest would be 1/2. It's pretty obvious. Very good. These are pages that I want you to have in here because when you get confused and you're not sure, you can look back at these pages and you can compare them and have an actual picture to prove which fractional parts are bigger than others as we start comparing. There is a game in your book that I believe is referenced for you to get to play with your mom today in your textbook. So go back to your assignment sheet, take a look at that, play the game with your mom, and take a picture of these two papers to send to me so I can admire your journal. Have a great day. Bye.